Whoa, there's people here. Hello, everybody. Hello and welcome to the third one of these. Yeah, cool. So, a bit of a shake-up to the format today. Instead of just rambling on end until, my will gives in, today we'll be talking about 20 theories, and then that's it. Then I'll see you some other time. Isn't that great? It means I don't have to fuck around looking for theories on my huge-ass spreadsheet. By the way, the number of entries from that Google form has ballooned from, I believe it was 250 when I first published the Red Woman video. It is now 720. You people, you just keep doing it. Anyway, we're going to be faffing about for just a little bit, and then we'll get into the theories. I've tried to, themes, like we'll be covering a few different themes today, instead of just a grab bag of ideas. So, yeah, we're waiting for people to arrive. Say hello to everybody. I want you to compliment the person to your left. Look them in the eye and genuinely think about something that you enjoy about looking at that person and tell them. And that'll make everyone's day better. Isn't that great? So, yes, theories. Thanks for being here. We're getting started soon. Don't worry, I don't know, I feel like I should wait a little bit before getting into the business, but I don't know what to talk about, so, how are you going? I am going okay. You know, I said to myself that I'm going to pick a theory that has to do with the thumbnail this time. You know, I made this Viserys-based thumbnail. Viserys is based, of course, and I was like, okay, let's pick a theory that has to do with Viserys, and then I completely forgot about that. We will not be talking about Viserys Targaryen today. We're also not going to be talking about Varys being a mermaid. Stop, just stop with that. I will get to it at some point. Good Lord, have patience. Where's the skip 9-minute button? If you ram your head against a wall in precisely the right way, you will skip 9 minutes. Do not do that. Alrighty, everyone. I wonder if I've got my keyboard next to here. Can you tell me if you can hear it? If it's not like fucked up by my sound card or something? If I play a D major 7 chord. Or what about if I play A flat sus2? Is that... Does that come through nicely for you guys? This is important information for me to know. Don't worry, we'll be talking about... we won't be talking about music, unfortunately. Oh, could you imagine? It won't be 9 minutes. We'll be starting sooner than that. Hey, Simcoe. Thank you for that. You don't need to send me more money, buddy. Not quite daily. I don't think I could do that to myself. Although I have only slept once since the last one, come to think of it. It is currently midnight here, and I'll be going to sleep as soon as we're done. Oh, it sounds really good. Clean? Awesome. You didn't know I'm a musician? Fake fan. The real Glimbus fans know that he know that he plays Guitar Hero on the regular. That's actually my day job. I'm a professional Guitar Heroist. Oh yeah, Blue Mustard. He's been talking to me about how to. It's a good idea. I've been complaining that I have no way of showing the likelihood of a theory being revealed or coming back into the story at all. And his suggestion to me was, at least I think he, sorry if it's not he, was to color code them, right? So you can see immediately whether or not I think it's going to be relevant to the story. And it's a good idea, but first of all, it's going to slow me down a little bit, because it's another thing to think about how to quantify, like actually assign a value to how likely I think it is, and that's going to slow me down. It's also going to make it kind of a visual clusterfuck as far as I'm concerned. So we won't be doing that. I might do that for like the edited versions though. We'll see. All right, we'll be getting started in just a moment, I reckon. I've got some Canadian club right here to loosen up the old. Anyway, yeah, we'll be getting started soon. I've got some chat mods now, so hopefully the bot typing in whatever Cyrillic language that was won't be visiting us quite as much anymore. It's also, yeah, it's not the most accessible option for conveying my thoughts to all my colorblind homies out there. Alright, so our first theory today, we're going to be talking about the Catspaw a little bit. Oh boy, yes, it's time to discuss the Catspaw. We'll be talking about 4 different Catspaw theories, which is interesting, for reasons we will get into in not too long from now. So our first one we'll be talking about is that Mance sent the Catspaw. I'll just say it like that, Mance Catspaw. Okay. So just to catch everyone up, the Catspaw is the way that everyone refers to the assassin sent to kill Bran Stark in Catelyn 3, A Game of Thrones. I think it's Catelyn 3, it might be Catelyn 2. No, it is 2. And then, yeah, so he's got this Valyrian steel dagger, and that's all kind of weird. And then Littlefinger pins it on Tyrion, but it turns out that Tyrion had nothing to do with it. And it's all just, you know, it's all kind of spooky and weird. And then George said to us that, well, he said in like fucking 21 years ago, he says that he's going to reveal the answer in A Storm of Swords. Then Storm of Swords rolls around and Tyrion comes to the conclusion that it's Joffrey. Then Jaime and Cersei also come to the conclusion that it's Joffrey, and they give him a motive as well. So that's interesting. And yet, we're still here theorizing about it, because not everyone is satisfied by that answer, and some people think that George has more going on here. So that's why there are Catspaw theories. And this first one we're talking about is that Mance Rayder sent the Catspaw. We know that Mance was in Winterfell during this period, or at least around this period. So the means, it's possible. I think the typical notion is that Mance stole the dagger from Robert's armory to sow chaos that he would benefit from south of the Wall. Oh, maybe it was also, yeah, there's this wildling custom of, you know, dying people being put out of, you know, it's a mercy. So that's Mance Catspaw. I'm not particularly a big fan of it. I think Preston Jacobs actually supports this one, or at least he did however many years ago when he made that video. I'm not a huge fan of it, and I don't actually see it as being too plausible. Thinking about the conversation that Mance has about being in Winterfell when he's talking to Jon, I mean, he definitely wouldn't tell Jon that he did that, obviously, but I don't think there's anything in there to indicate, and like George usually drops hints there and then, right, that something more is going on, and I just don't see that in that conversation. So yeah, there's that. So I don't hate it. Like, sure, fine, whatever. It doesn't do much for me, and I'm not I just don't think it's the most likely thing going on. The most likely thing is, what's the most likely thing? I think the most likely thing is that someone will submit another stupid theory. Yeah, that seems to be, if I had to, like, submit something, if I had to come up with something that was 100% a certainty in this world, that was a 100 on the probability scale, it would be that. Someone's going to submit a stupid theory. Like that one, Tommen's the Night King. That's completely pointless. Thanks for saying that. Okay, so we've got our next one is that Peter sent the Catspaw. You know that guy, Littlefinger, Middle Fingers, that he sent the guy what tried to kill Bran. Yeah, George is Fat Man, obviously. Now, I like this one more because I see more for Peter to gain out of doing this, specifically out of managing dependent on the Lannisters, but people tend to think that the means of this thing happening is too ludicrous, because Peter wasn't at Winterfell, obviously. So how would he have known to organize this kind of thing? And the theory typically goes that, well, he doesn't have to be in Winterfell to organize that kind of thing. He can send a dude to become a camp follower, you know, just go in, sleep in the fucking kennels or whatever, and then at some point do something that can be blamed on someone. Because that's all that Peter wants. He wants chaos generally. And so, either way, if the assassination fails, which it does, then an investigation can be done. Littlefinger can pin the dagger on whoever he finds it convenient to. In the moment, Tyrion is a really good guy to pin it on. So, if the assassination doesn't fail, well then there's a dead Stark, and they've got to figure out, that sows chaos either way. And of course, Peter stands to benefit from any chaos, especially between the Starks and the Lannisters. So that's the idea behind that one. And again, this all comes from people being unsatisfied with the answer that Joffrey did it, and also that, I don't know, I think these ideas also existed before A Storm of Swords was published. Not the Mance one, because we hadn't met Mance yet. At least, yeah, no, you don't meet him until Storm of Swords. Okay, so there's that. Peter sent the Catspaw. What do I think of it? I think I like it a lot more. Oh, but telling you where I think it rates, that kind of gives it away. I've spoken about it as, in the show, I think it's basically certain, although they never bring it up again, that Peter did do it. Because there's no other explanation given, and it really looks like they want to blame him for it, but then they don't. So I don't know what's going on there. But in the books, I still like it. I really do, but I just do not see it as... It would be a cool thing for him to, be outed on, I think. Because, I mean, let's just put the next one on here. That Joffrey sent the Catspaw. And this is the given story. And I don't mind it. And it seems to be basically true. Because... let's go through it. Actually, it's going to be higher up than Man's Catspaw. Yeah, something like that. So, the idea is that Joffrey wanted approval from Robert. That's the motive behind him doing this. He stole the dagger from Robert's armory and had hired a dude to kill Bran, to put him out of his misery. And I think that the wording used by the Catspaw is similar to something that Joffrey says. No. It's what the Hound says to Joffrey that the Catspaw then says to Catelyn. So that's what makes people think... Well, I mean, there's a lot to make people think that Joffrey sent the Catspaw, and that's another... It's kind of like okay, well, that adds up. So, yeah, it seems pretty fucking likely that Joffrey did it, because as much as there are holes in the conclusions that Tyrion and Jaime and Cersei come to in A Storm of Swords, there's also holes in the other things. Because, sending a dude to do something doesn't really seem like Littlefinger's modus operandi. And then also, I think it kind of takes away from Peter being an improvisational genius by, Catelyn comes up to him with this dagger he's never seen before. And then, and then he improvises all of a sudden that Tyrion tried to kill your son, and he benefits so much from that, and it's incredible that he's able to weave that scenario out of information that's just now been presented to him. And he only gets away with it because Varys admits to not knowing anything about it. If Varys had said, actually, yeah, that belongs to Robert, then it never would have worked. So I really like that the situation in the scene in the brothel when Catelyn comes to Peter with the dagger is improvised. And it being like a conspiratorial thing that he planned from the start kind of does take... I'm actually going to have to lower that a little bit because of that. So yeah, and also, like, I just don't like the Mance one on the face of it. But there's one that I like even less on the face of it, and that's Catelyn said the Catspaw. Now, this, on the face of it, when I first heard this one, I thought, now that sounds patently insane, doesn't it? And then I looked further into it, and the more I learned about this theory, the more I became convinced that, yeah, it is pretty fucking weird. So I hate this, and there's no way... no, I'm not a fan of this one, because it requires... why would she do that? and then she'd forget about it. Catelyn almost dies. Bran almost dies. This is insane. You say it's a meme theory, or I don't know about that. A lot of things that I thought people only said in jest actually turn out to be real theories that people believe. Now, I'm not sure about this one. I'm pretty sure I've heard people say it seriously, though. But yeah, some people actually believe things like, Drogo is a horse. I've actually saw someone seriously submitted the D plus D equals T one, which we'll get to at some point. Not today, though. So that's my take on the Catspaw. I like it most if Peter did it, but there's holes in that, and I'm pretty convinced that George is like, he's done. He's done with the Catspaw story. Which is a shame. I would have liked if it was Littlefinger, but I don't think it is. So there you go. Oh, now here's a fun one. A fun little cute one. We've got Satin is Robert's bastard. Now, Satin shows up at the Wall at a time that kind of coincides with when you would get there if you left once Cersei started killing Robert's bastards. So that's its own thing. And then there's he has some features that are like kind of Baratheon-ish. Hang on, let me make sure I'm not bullshitting you there. Yeah, so he's a perfect age to be a Robert bastard, I think. How old is Maya Stone? Just want to make... I'm doing some quick impromptu research to make sure I'm not talking out of my ass. Yeah, no. He's definitely young enough to be a Robert bastard. He has dark eyes and black hair, so, you know, Baratheon shit going on there. And, you know, so that's not crazy, I don't think. I don't think it's likely. Well, see, here's that thing again, and I'm not gonna color code shit still, but yeah. Oh god, watching chat go by, it's giving me a seizure. Not an actual seizure though. So I like this. I don't think it's likely to come up. I kind of need to put it basically in the middle. It's a cute little headcanon that I don't think will be proved or disproved either way. So you can hold on to that if you want. Or you can dismiss it if you want. I like it. But then there's this... Actually, I was going to say... Well, this is kind of a point against it, but no, it's not. That Satin is, in personality, so different to Robert. But that doesn't mean shit. You can be different from your parents, especially if you've never met them. So yeah, that's that. Satin being Robert's bastard, it's a cute little one. No need to sweat over it. Then there's this one, which I'm sure people will sweat over a little bit. This is, it's tied in with Satin being Robert's bastard. Are you ready? Jon is gay for Satin. Well, technically we should say bi. So, if you read the things that Jon thinks about Satin, it kind of seems like he has a crush on him. And I think it's cute. I don't have a problem with this at all. It could be a really interesting point of awakening for Jon if George decided to go down that route. However, I think Jon's plot is a little busy at the moment with him being dead and such. So I don't know. I think it's an interesting reading of it. It doesn't take that much of a leap, as far as I'm concerned. And I like it. I'm sure some people have this conception of Jon as this strong, masculine, typical cis-het, Duke Nukem kind of bulk standard protagonist. And I think that this addition to his character would be an interesting turn on that kind of conceptualization. Now, I don't think Jon is that idea to most people. Definitely not me. I think Jon's he's like an emo soft boy. And so this also works in that reading of Jon. So yeah, Jon's bi. Or at least bi-curious for Satin. So I like this. Do I think it's likely? Again, it's a thing that I don't think is going to come up. It's a cute reading that I don't think can be discounted, and it can't be really proved one way or the other. So let's just leave it kind of over here. I think it's more likely than Satin being a Robert bastard. But the conjunction of these two theories is that the Stark-Baratheon pairing that Ned and Robert were talking about. No. It's not Sansa and Joffrey. It's not Arya and Gendry. It's Jon and Satin. There you go. They're going to get married and they're going to join the houses and it's going to keep the Seven Kingdoms together, goddammit. Alright, so I hope everyone's as enamored with that one as they are with all your stupid headcanons. So there's that one. Okay, so now to change gears a little bit, although I did just mention Sansa and marriage, we've got the Ashford tourney suitors. This one gets around a bit. This is quite a notorious one. This is comparing the champions that Dunk faces in the Ashford tourney trial with the people that Sansa is supposed to marry. You know, she's initially betrothed to a Baratheon, then Tyrell, then a Lannister, then I believe Harding is next, and then the last champion is a Targaryen. And people use this to say, well, that probably means that Sansa's last suitor is going to be a Targaryen. And there's two directions it goes from there. Some people think it's going to be young Griff. Other people think it's going to be Jon as a Targaryen. And the interesting thing to me here is that Joffrey isn't a Lannister. And, Baratheon, sorry. Joffrey isn't a Baratheon. And Harry Harding is, like, kinda... he's mostly a Harding, but there's a reading by which he's not a Harding, because they need him to identify with his Arryn roots to inherit the Vale, right? That's the whole point of him being the heir. So there's something interesting going on there. Most people agree that young Griff is not a Targaryen. And then Jon... At least if, like... I think it's most likely that Rhaegar and Lyanna weren't married, and if they were, it was probably an illegitimate marriage, so I don't think he's a legitimate Targaryen either. So the binding notion of this theory is that the Hardings appear in the Ashford tourney and as Sansa's suitors. And House Harding is obscure. They don't appear very often. So it makes sense that people would connect these two things. So what do I think of it? Ashford Turney Suitors. It's a cool idea, and I really like the idea that Gurm wove this list of men into it's the first Uncle Egg one, isn't it? Yeah. The Hedge Knight. And then over the course of the coming years, he crafted that same list to be the men that Sansa is betrothed to. That's a cool idea, and this happens a lot in theories. People take things that George has done in the novellas, in the World Book, and the other history book as well, to represent something else in the main series. And this is one of those. I like it. I don't have a problem with it at all. There's a lot more to this. Someone sent me a manifesto about this one. Hang on, let me see if I can find it. 143. That's the theory number in my big old spreadsheet. Yeah, man, that's huge. Someone sent me all the words about this one. But that one's more about like a Johnsa endgame thing that I don't want to get into at the moment. We'll talk about that some other time. I'll go through super chats at the very, very end of all these streams, by the way. We're basically going to have to do a single super chat stream. So look forward to that. So I don't really want to dig into Johnsa or whatever the ship between Sansa and young Griff would be. Whatever that would be called. I think so. I don't have a problem with Ashford Turney Suitors, and I think it's a neat way of tying in two completely unrelated parts of the story, right? So I don't know. That's cool. Don't have a problem with it, and I think it is likely that there will be some pursuit of a Targaryen connection to Sansa's hand at some point. I think that doesn't seem too unlikely. So there's that. Maybe I'll put it like smack bang in the middle of the upper right quadrant. There's that. There is the Ashford Turney Suitors. Okay, who's next? Oh, so this one. Oh, that's. Hang on. Where did that one come from? Hang on. That's right. So this one, it's more about like a political evaluation of where Peter will find himself in the Winds of Winter, and it's a curious one at that. We have, hang on, Sansa marries Stannis. Because the idea goes that Selyse and Shireen are both gonna die, and Peter is gonna have to like seek an alliance with Stannis, and of course it's gonna suit Stannis because Peter is like extremely powerful. So yeah, it's also gonna give Stannis an heir to the North Riverlands, and will it help with the Vale? I guess it'll give him an alliance with Littlefinger, won't it? Yeah, and yeah, Sweet Robin's a simp. So yeah. And of course, Peter's vast wealth and connection to the Iron Bank will be very useful for him. So it's not a batshit analysis. It's one of quite a few directions the Sansa story could go. It's really interesting watching all of these plots that have been disconnected for so long. How all the different ways people think they're going to come together. It's really cool to see how people think that's going to go. I don't mind this. I think that Sansa does have a history of being married to people that it would be difficult to be married to. The issue, of course, is that Tyrion is still alive. However, there's shenanigans you can do with, it was never consummated. The High Sparrow would be in charge. Would he annul something like that? I don't think... that's a bit of a hairy one. That's like the biggest obstacle for Peter. I love how Tyrion keeps showing up as like a huge problem for Littlefinger, and it's great that they can't do anything about each other. It's fantastic. So Sansa marries Stannis. That's the other problem with the Ash Attorney Suitors, is that Sansa's married. You got to do something about that. Okay, Sansa marries Stannis. It completely flies in the face of Ashford Turney. But then again, George has never said anything about this being true, so I don't see like why that would actually be an issue. I don't mind this, but it's probably less likely than one of the more like... It's kind of like thematically fitting, narratively fitting, and it like mirrors something cool that he's done in the past. The Ash Attorney one, whereas Sansa marrying Stannis, it's kind of like an opportunistic grab that doesn't really illuminate anything else about the story. So that's Sansa marrying Stannis. I don't mind it. It can go basically in the middle, and I don't think it's very likely, but it's cool. Thanks very much for submitting that, whoever submitted that. Sophie D, I believe this submitter was. Most of these have names, by the way. I haven't been reading them out. Okay, we've got a big one now. We've got one big boy. And his name is Quentyn Martell. And he's an ugly fucker. And I regret to inform you that he's dead. There's a chapter in A Dance with Dragons where he attempts to tame some dragons, and he fails miserably, and he fucking dies. And I'm sorry. The man is dead. So some people look to this and say, well, what's the point of the story? What's George saying with this? That was a huge truck that just drove past. Holy crap. Okay, so... yeah, people are like, well, what's the whole point of that? He gets sent off and then he dies. Wouldn't it be more interesting if Doran had to deal with the shit he put his son through for his own personal gain? And my response to that is, Quentyn's story is already a subversive take on a certain trope. I don't think there's a necessity to have it be more than that. And I like Quentyn. I like him a lot. He's a great character. I really like what he means for the story. And he's dead. But then it's like, oh, but Dragonfire can't melt leather whips, and it's like, well, what does George know about this shit? George thinks that the wall being a million meters high is plausible. George thinks that being able to see the wall from the top of the high tower makes sense. George thinks that he can write books. I'm so sorry, everyone, but he's dead. Yeah, so that doesn't mean that I think there's nothing shaky going on around his death. I think that they're up to something, because there's a skeleton, and why would there be a skeleton if he got melted? Okay, so I think that his mates are up to something. But he's dead. And look, if he is alive, I'd be happy. I hate this. I hate that. Hang on. I have to, I like it, but no way. There we go. That's where it goes. And just to give the bottom right corner something, we gotta put Quentyn is dead. He is dead. Quentyn is dead. We're gonna put it all the way down here. Okay. Yeah, I like Quentyn being alive, but again, actually, I'll put it over here. I like it because I like Quentyn, but I think that the story doesn't need it. I don't think the story needs him. I think his role in, like, the grand narrative of Meereen is releasing the dragons, and I think that thematically, his role is being a son who gets sent off. He's a prince. He's a charming young lad who any woman would be happy to spend their days with, and he gets burnt to a crisp. I'm so sorry, Quentyn Martell is dead. And I hate, hang on, I don't hate for the story that he's dead. I hate for the character. We all love Quentyn. I'd sink a pint with him if I could. He's dead. So I cannot sink any pints with him. We've got Euron. This is another big one. Euron is Daario. Oh boy. So this one's, I think most people's relationship with this theory is that it starts out as a meme and then you look more into it and it's like, huh, there's something going on here. And then you think about it more and it's like, what's the point? So people have done, they have crunched the numbers on the timeline here. People have thought about this for so long, and the general consensus is that it is not impossible for Euron to be Daario. And look, I think the genesis of this theory would be what both characters mean for the story. All right, they're both treacherous manipulators who are up to something nefarious, and Daario's shady. People want to figure out what's going on with him, and this is an explanation that they like. I think there's some word games you can play to associate Euron with Daario, but I don't see the point, if I'm honest with you. Which I am. I tend to try to be honest with you. So, I think it'd be fun for something like this to be true. It'd kind of... I like it. It's not the worst thing in the world, but I don't think it's very likely at all. In fact, I put Quentyn being alive as more likely than Euron being Daario. But yeah, it's not impossible. I can't put it over here. It has to be over here. There is a slim chance. So you're telling me there's a chance. Yeah, it is an overused meme that we should get over. But look, I asked for everyone to submit any theory they could think of, and so I got that one a few times. Yeah, so that's fine. You can think that if you want. Then we've got so this one's a big one as well. We've got, hang on, let me look up the number, 6, 9, 4. Yes, excellent. So we've got Euron, Daario, Syrio, Jaqen, Benjen, and Cold Hands. They all walk into a bar and he orders a drink. There you go. So these are all the same person, and they enjoy drinking. And, now, have you seen any of them in the same place at the same time, though? Yeah, no, it's fucking dumb. I'm sorry, everyone. So, the next one I actually did want to talk about, and this one is actually, at least I think it's supposed to be a meme, but some people took it too far, is that Benjen is Daario. Now, this one I hate. And is impossible. So I think the person who submitted this to me, actually, hang on, which one of these do I hate more? Probably the Catelyn Catspaw one. Okay, so the person who submitted this to me just said, hang on, that's the wrong one. There it is. So they said Daario equals Benjen Stark. The timeline kinda works, and Benjen is the only Stark described as having blue eyes like Daario. And if that's the evidence that you need to be convinced of something, they submitted that with a confidence of 5. They are 100% confident that that's the case. They are. You cannot convince this man that Benjen Stark is not Daario Naharis, and like no, he's not though, is he? Because Benjen. Now you say the timeline works out, and you mean that Benjen disappears in the middle of a Game of Thrones, Daario appears during a Storm of Swords. So you're thinking, okay, so he could make it to Meereen. It's not Meereen that they made him, but you could make it to Slaver's Bay, and I suppose he could if he if he wanted to, if he had the means to. Sure, it is possible to get there in that amount of time. So you've got me there. The timeline works out, and they do both have blue eyes. However, have you considered anything else? Because why would Benjen go to Slaver's Bay, become part of a sellsword company, ally with Daenerys Targaryen? This is Benjen Stark we are talking about. Benjen Stark devoted his life to the Night's Watch for reasons that people still speculate on. And we probably will talk about those reasons. In fact, did I do that last time? Man, I talked about so many theories last time. 3 hours is such a long time to just be running your fucking mouth. I'm so glad I'm doing this for less time. Yeah, why would he do that? And lots of people have blue eyes. I have blue eyes, it so happens, ladies. So I'm not Benjen. I am not Euron. I am not Daario. A lot of people have submitted that I'm Azor Ahai, or that I'm George R.R. Martin. Those theories are silly. Someone submitted that I'm Benioff, and we'll be moving on now. So the next one, oh, this one's interesting. We've got that the seven are the many-faced god. This is an interesting interpretation that, literally the Faith of the Seven believes that there's one god with 7 aspects, 7 faces, as it was. You may figure if you apply what words mean. So yeah, there's that one. What do I think of it? Hang on. 49. Is there anything else they said about this one? Aside from the timeline kind of works. I'm going to have to find this one manually. Yep, there we go. Okay. Yeah, and they've also said that both religions originate in like the northwestern region of Essos, Andalos being adjacent to Braavos, basically. And I can see what you're going for there. I see the connection that 7 is technically many, and the aspects of God are kind of like faces of God. But the many-faced God, there's an in-world explanation for the many-faced God. And it's a good one. And it's very death-based. It's the people of Braavos came from all over the Valyrian freehold. They were escaped slaves and people of this manner, and they all had different religions because they came from all over the place, and they observed religions from all over the place, and they noticed all of these religions having similarities. They basically practiced comparative mythology, and from this they came up with the idea of the many-faced god who appears in all religions. Well, not all, but many. Maybe it is all, I can't remember. And that's what the many-faced god is. It's the in-world explanation is that it is the aspect of death in many religions, which is why in the show at least they have the drowned god. They have a statue of the drowned god in the House of Black and White, which is weird because the drowned god is a giver of life. But yeah, so the stranger in the Faith of the Seven. Hang on, there was a list I found somewhere that was quite good. I really like admitting to doing research. It just means I can say, hang on, give me a moment, and then I can actually know what I'm talking about. I know what I'm talking about a lot of the time, but sometimes it's nice to have a source backing you up. Right, yeah, so the Black Goat of Qohor, the Lion of Night in Yeti, the Stranger in the Faith of the Seven. That's the list that the wiki provides. So yeah, I don't see a need to identify the many-faced god with the Seven, especially when there are so many parts of the Faith of the Seven that have no correlation to anything in, like, there's no analog in the religion of the Faceless Men. So I'm gonna put this as it's gonna go over here. I like the connection, but it's there's another explanation that I think fits much better. So I don't hate it. That's like, no, but it's not I don't think it's a thing. So let's put that over there. Okay. People will see as this goes on that there's little rhyme or reason to many of these. So then we've got money is the many-faced god. Now, this is an idea I think we talked about in the Game of Thrones one, but this is a Song of Ice and Fire. We're not talking about Game of Thrones anymore, even though I keep bringing it up. We're talking about the Fat Man books. So, even though I just gave an explanation for where the many-faced god comes from, this works in a lot of ways. Because it's weird that the cult of the Faceless Men requires payment to kill people. If it's an entirely religious thing, oh, maybe it's a commentary on religion being extortion for money. That just occurred to me. But yeah, people are like, well, why do you need to pay them if killing is part of their religion? If they see it as a gift from their god, if it's a ritual that is paramount to, fulfilling their faith or whatever. Why would you need to pay them? And the answer this theory posits is that it's not death they're worshipping, it's money they're worshipping. And then you look into the ties that the Faceless Men likely have with the Iron Bank, and, there's something there. There's a non-zero thing there. Now, looking at the Faceless Men, and basically an Arya-centric idea, right? That they don't appear too much in other people's plots, and much of her plot is about them. So when you think about Arya's relationship with the many-faced god, well, with the Faceless Men, and yeah, the many-faced god as well, money isn't that big a role in the story. I mean, there's a lot of commentary on class in Braavos throughout her story, so I guess you could read that into it. I'm just trying to find a thematic connection between the many-faced god and the concept of fiat cash. Even though I don't think you could describe their system as fiat because it's tied to the value of the metal it's made of. Anyway, I like it, but again, I don't think there's too much point to giving a new explanation for what the many-faced god is. I genuinely believe that the explanation given in World, that it's kind of like an amalgam comparative mythology style of the aspects of death in many religions. There you go. There's my thoughts on the many-faced god. Clip that and take it out of context and make me look like a fool. Leave the context in and make me look like a fool. I'm sure it'll be easy. So our next one is a Tyrion one. Penny is Tyrion's daughter. The idea here is that Tysha got pregnant when she was married to Tyrion. Tyrion being the funny dwarf. Now, hang on, let me think about the timing here a little bit. That... Hang on, so he thinks that Penny is 17-ish, I think? Maybe 18? 17, 18, 19, I think he says. No older than 19, that's the line. And, does that line up with... Hang on, the Tysha thing was in 280, I think. When Tyrion was... Hang on, Tyrion was 13. So when was that? Let me Doopy doopy doo. The year Tyrion was born, 267, was it? 273. So it'd be 286 when that happened, after the rebellion. Okay, so then Penny would have to be 12. Tyrion's daughter with Tysha would have to be 12. And so the person who submitted this was like, well, what if Tyrion's just fucking wrong about how old Penny is? He does remark that she seems like quite naive for her age. And because she's a dwarf, maybe it's harder to tell how old she is. I don't know, man. I don't think so. I know that Gurm likes people doing fucked up things with their kids. He just likes writing about that for some reason. We should really look into this, guys. I think Gurm's a little fucked up in the head. No, authors can write all kinds of mental things. Stephen King looks like the most boring man in the universe, and he's written the most depraved, lunatical ideas I've ever stumbled across. So yeah, Penny being Tyrion's daughter. What would that accomplish in the story? Let's think about that. I guess it's kind of like Tysha being the thing that Tyrion is constantly looking for throughout A Dance with Dragons comes to him in Penny, if Penny is Tyrion's daughter, and he constantly rejects her towards the end of the book, at least. Throughout the middle, he's like, "Oh yeah, Penny's let's she's cool. I like her ideas about not being a depressed fuckwit." But I think all of that still holds true, even if she's not literally Tysha's daughter. I think that Tysha is just an idea that plagues Tyrion. And now, that doesn't mean I don't think that she's physically around. We'll get to that. We'll get to that in no time at all, actually. Yeah, Penny is Tyrion's daughter. I don't like it. I don't like it very much, and I don't think it's very likely. I'll put it over here. Now, this is not like a visceral hatred. It's not like I hate this. I hate the Benjen and Daario one. I just think it's very silly, and I don't want to take it seriously. The Penny is Tyrion's daughter one, I just don't think it really matches very well with the story. I don't think it's likely, and it doesn't do much for me. I don't think it's an awful idea, though. Let's put it maybe up here. Like, I don't have too much goal against it. Now, what was the next one I wanted to talk about? Is it the one I thought it was? Yes, it is. So we've got Tysha is the sailor's wife. The sailor's wife being a whore, a sex worker. Whoops, that's gonna happen in every stream. I shit you not. I'm gonna pull the curtain out every time. It's gonna happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. So we've got Tysha is the sailor's wife, which is a sex worker in Bravos, who does a fun little ceremony where she marries you before she fucks you. And that's exactly what happened with Tyrion. And people are like, oh, that's kind of interesting. And then the idea is that she has this husband who is a sailor who didn't come back. And the people are like, well, Tyrion's a husband that she lost, and maybe the sailor thing is a lie so that she doesn't expose herself to saying, you know, I was married to a Lannister, because that could be a pretty dangerous thing to say. Other people think that, actually, you know what, let's make this a 2-for-1. What's the idea here? That the sailor's wife, it has something to do with Geryon. How do I want to phrase this? That, like, the sailor's wife, the sailor is Geryon, let's say. So that's a separate theory. Well, it's kind of like a diametrically opposed theory. Because she can't be both people, unless she can. No, that'd be fucking awful, wouldn't it? So the sailor. Let's deal with this one first. Tysha being the sailor's wife. I really like this. I think this is really cute, and it's kind of heartbreakingly tragic that the woman Tyrion was obsessed with how she turned out to be a whore, and how that's like the biggest mockery of his life, and he hates it. Oh, I hate you all. And then it turns out she's not actually a whore. Oh, I hate you even more now, Jamie. And then even you know, he spends all this time obsessing over, well, where does this whore go? And it turns out that she actually did become a whore, and of course, whores go to whorehouses. So there's that. I really like this, and I think that there's a lot of ideas about who Tysha is, where she is in the story, and how she's going to reconnect with Tyrion and have a happy ever after with him. No. I really like this one. This is my favorite of them, and it goes up the top. Do I think it's likely? Yeah, I do. Thanks for asking. You're always nice like that. Let me see what the chat's saying if they hate this idea. Oh, someone hates this theory. That's interesting. Why wouldn't she call herself the Lion's Wife? Why would she? Yeah, I think avoiding... Look, I guess the theory does have to take a leap of, like, kind of hand-waving the name of her being the sailor's wife. But I also think that obscurity to her true identity is something. Like, it means that she's thought about this. And calling herself the Lion's Wife, that'd be too fucking obvious for the reader as well. I think it's more cute this way. And being Gerion's girl doesn't really do too much for me. Because, again, Geryon Lannister, he's kind of just a footnote, really. I think him just fucking off and becoming the Shrouded Lord, that's more fun than him having this tragic tale. That's the thing. Geryon isn't really, well, that's, hang on, let me approach this from a different angle. It's Tyrion's tragedy at hand here. Yeah. I just like this. The sailor being Geryon. Now, I don't hate that. You know. I just feel like we would have heard more about him. Although Germ does like spattering all of these random details in that are connected in certain ways. Look, I don't hate it. I'm gonna put it... I don't think either of these are particularly likely to be explicitly told to the reader. Yeah, definitely more likely... let's put it... stop doing that, man. I need to lock that layer. What the hell am I doing? I'll do that between streams. Okay, so there's that one. Tysha's sailor's wife. Okay, now this one's interesting. I mean, I think they're all interesting. We've got Targaryen birth mortality. This came from someone who was reading Fire and Blood and noticed that Targaryen mothers and babies in childbirth die all the time. There's so many of them that just die. And they thought, well, that's kind of weird. Maybe there's something going on here with Targaryens and dying in childbirth. Because, of course, Rhaella dies giving birth to Daenerys, and Daenerys' baby dies when she... But there's a lot more going on there, let's be honest. So those are the, like, main novel examples of this observation. But is there something to it? I think not really. I think that childbirth and death are very heavily linked all throughout the story. I don't think that there's necessarily a connection to Targaryens there. I think that Germ just really likes using this device of a woman dying in childbirth, and he also likes babies not making it. He's a twisted little man, isn't he? That Germ. Yeah, that's the other thing that Targaryens are doing is they consistently fuck each other. And incest isn't typically known for being the best thing for a prolonged family health. So there's that. I don't think the Targaryens have anything. The interesting thing here is that there's this Targaryens don't get sick thing. That people use that to be like, well, why didn't Tyrion get grayscale? The two leading ideas there are, well, he's a Targaryen actually, and the other idea is that his uncle didn't want to give him grayscale. They're both very fun theories. But yeah, there's tons of examples of Targaryens not getting sick, but then again, there's also examples of Targaryens getting sick, like in the Great Spring Sickness. Don't like 2 of the most important Targaryens die? 3 die in that? Yeah, so I think that this is all kind of hogwash. I think that Targaryens, it turns out, are pretty human. There's something special about them, don't get me wrong, because they come from the Valyrian master race. Yeah, take that one out of context. In fact, the context doesn't really help me out there. I just shouldn't have said that. No, but there is obviously something special about Valyrians in that they can do the thing with the dragons. Although, is that thing determined by fate or magic or some shit? Or is it just because over the years they became more used to one another? Is it what's the thing where you evolve alongside something else? That's right, the Valyrians are parasites. Anyway, so I don't think that there's anything really to this. Now the statement here is just the observation that Targaryens just die a lot in the process of being born, and that's true. It does happen a lot, but it also happens a lot for everyone else. So I'm saying that the theory here is that there's something wacky going on, and I don't think so. I don't really care one way or the other. I just don't really think so. So there's that. Oh, now this one. Ooh, are we ready to raise some hairs? We've got. Oh boy. So last time we talked about some parentage theories. Excuse me. And some of those concerned a character known as Daenerys Targaryen. And recently, and by recently I mean like in the past year or so, this one fella released a series of videos about how Daenerys is actually not anyone. Oh, said, excuse me. Stop doing that. What? Photoshop does this thing where it's just like, hey, do you want all these different versions of this letter that you're never going to use? And no, it turns out, Photoshop, I'm not going to use it. So this idea is that Dany is no one. She's just some kid who they scooped up to pretend to be Daenerys Targaryen. And the Preston Jacobs series going, he obsesses over a single page in Daenerys 1, A Game of Thrones, where it just where like there's fishy stuff all over it, is the idea. And the thematic notion is that even though she's nobody, she can still rise to become the most powerful person on the planet, and also that birthright. It's all about who people believe you are, which is a common theme across the books. Varys telling us that power resides where men believe it resides. So yeah, there's that. But the logistics of it, I think it's noteworthy that the only person we hear, at least I'm pretty sure about this. I haven't. Let's see. The thing with receiving over 700 submissions for this fucking thing is that I can't thoroughly research all of them. So I'm sorry about. I'm not going to be able to give the most informed opinion about every single thing. So I think that the only knowledge we have about Daenerys' birth is from Daenerys and Viserys. I don't think that any other character unrelated to that situation corroborates the story at all. Yeah. So, I talked about the other day that I think Jon being Rhaegar and Lyanna's child is probably the most likely thing, and I mean most people would agree with me there, and that Daenerys is probably Aerys and Rhaella's child, but I don't hate the idea that she's nobody. It means a lot thematically, but then again, it also covers the same thematic ground that Jon's story kind of does. And like, you can say, oh, well, that's great because then they're paralleling each other. But you could also say, that's bad because then he's just writing the same thing again. You see, isn't literary analysis such fun? So Dany Dragonseed, look, there's a lot of cogent points in that series about things being weird around the circumstances of Daenerys' birth. But that may just be stories being embellished as she... she knows this stuff from being a kid while it was all happening, and from Viserys recounting stuff to her. Viserys has ulterior motives, and he's also kind of batshit, so... the poor guy. We love Viserys around here. If anyone I'm being serious to my moderators in chat right now. If anyone says a mean thing about Viserys, you delete it. I'm not. I don't tolerate that. We're not doing that. So, Daenerys. No, I there's definitely something wacky about Daenerys' childhood. As I saw, some people were like outraged that I put Lemongate in the top right corner last time, but no, it's fucking true. Lemon trees don't grow in Bravos, so there's something wacky going on. I don't hate it. I think it's fine. I just don't think it's very likely that she's nobody. Let's put that. There's no room around here. Let's put it like here. I think I like that one better. Let's put that there and put that there. Okay. How's everyone feel about that? Wait, it turns out your opinion doesn't matter. So our next one is that. Oh, now this is one I hear so often. We've got Essos connects to Westeros. That if you keep going east on Essos, it wraps around, it goes all the way north, and it loopy-loopies all the way back to the north of Westeros. And man, that's one big fucking continent. I don't really like this, to be honest. I don't see really the point. People are like, hey man. There's legends. The Long Night also happened in the east. The Five Forts exist. They have stories. They have Azor Ahai. There's the Last Hero in the north. You know, these are analogous stories. These legends must be connected in one way, and so people think that the invasion of the others, you know, the mythological one that happened 8,000 years ago, that was simultaneous in both the north and the east, the far east, and so that territory must be connected, and I don't think that's entirely necessary. I don't think that they need to be connected for that to be true, and like when I picture it, it just looks so goofy, with it like just snaking up to the north and like swinging around. In a way, I think it makes the world smaller instead of bigger. And I like the world being bigger. I can definitely see the motive for this one. I don't like it, and I hope it's not true. Do I want to say there's no way? No, there's not no way. Of course it's possible. But I think there'd be more indications towards it if it were true. But really all we have at the moment is hey, there are ideas that occur in mythologies and analogous buildings in both places. And that's not nothing, but also those same things occur in our world in places that are not connected physically. So, yeah, no, I don't like it. There are other explanations for why both cultures would develop these things. And one of those could just be, hey, it turns out there are others there as well, you know? And then there's like the bigger picture ideas about the others that we're not going to get into today. Instead, what we're going to get into, whoopsie doopsie, I've got my own video playing in the background. Sorry about that. Our next one is, what was it? Oh yeah, it was a young Griff one I didn't talk about last time. I forgot. Young Griff is not a Blackfire, he's a Brightflame. So a descendant of Aegon Brightflame, that one prince who drank that stuff and he thought it would turn him into a thing, but it actually turned him into a corpse. So this one, I don't see why this exists. Yes, the world of Ice and Fire is a sphere. Well, an oblate spheroid. It is an astrological object. It's not some bullshit actual flat Earth. And I think the Maesters know that. I think it's said in the world of Ice and Fire that they know it's a sphere. So yeah, young Griff Brightflame. It's kind of, I think from what I saw, it's an attempt to pair young Griff Blackfire with some more stuff. Just try to get as much stuff in that theory as possible. And my main gripe with it is that Aegon Brightflame is mentioned twice in the 5 novels and sampled chapters of The Winds of Winter, where he's not mentioned, so I don't know why I brought that up. And I don't think either of those mentions has anything about him having descendants or even children. I think all of that is, Dunk and Egg, and then the history books as well. Now, I know I'm going to sound like a hypocrite because I gave Ashford Turney Suitors credence, and that's like connecting historical stuff Gurm wrote with, the main series. And now I'm saying that, hey, the stuff in the historical stuff Gurm's written, yeah, that's not relevant to the main series. No. It's not quite that simple. But I can see why you'd criticize me for saying that. And I guess that on some base level, yeah, I am contradicting myself a little bit there. Maybe because I just don't like this. I think that young Griff Blackfire is just cleaner. It's just better. Yeah, I just think that if young Griff was gonna be a descendant of Aegon Brightflame, George probably would have mentioned somewhere in the books that young Griff is in that Aegon Brightflame had children, or that, or anything about him other than the thing he's famous for, Whereas when we hear about Daemon Blackfire and his descendants, we hear about the lineage, we hear about the rebellions. We hear about that stuff in the main novels. Not that often, it doesn't appear that much, and in fact it only starts after in A Storm of Swords is when he starts mentioning Daemon Blackfire. But, it's a lot more than Aegon Brightflame. What I'm saying is that I think the relevance of Aegon Brightflame is so much lower than the Blackfire line that I just do not see young Griff Brightflame as being plausibly relevant. And the way I'm going to defend my opinion on Ashford Turney fitting with this is that the Hardings tie together the Ashford theory, whereas there's no direct link that'd make the historical work about Aegon Brightflame relevant to young Griff. Does that make sense? I think I've done well there. So I'm gonna say I don't really care one way or the other. I don't hate it. It doesn't bring me to vitriol. It doesn't boil my blood. But I don't like it, and I don't think it's that. I don't think there's too much to it. I'm sure the more I read about, that's the thing with all of these, the more you read about them, people are very good at making cases for stuff. I learnt that myself when I decided to prove to the world once and for all that Drogo was a horse. So there you go. You can basically talk about anything. And our last theory for the day is that Alt-Shift-X is Alt-Schwift-X. That they're the same person. And now we've talked about some stupid theories in these streams. We've talked about some hardcore cope. We've talked about some real tinfoil. We've talked about some just mean things. But this is the bottom of the barrel, man. This is people going just too far. I cannot believe that you would connect these two people in this way. It's just so rude to all of these people involved. Now, Alt-Shift-X, is he a rapscallion? Is he a scoundrel? Did he steal my wife in 2017 and never apologize? Maybe. However, Alt-Shift-X, he's the trickster god Floki. He is... he's the secret remaining member of the Kelly gang. He survived Glen Rowan. He's the kind of guy who steals from the rich, gives to the poor, realizes that he's made the poor rich and steals it back, and then he throws it in a pit and sets it on fire. That's Alt-Shift-X. Alt-Shift-X is not that kind of man. Alt-Shift-X he's Ned Flanders, but wearing the hat of some devious scoundrel. So I just cannot believe, thematically it makes no sense. I don't like, see, it just gets to me. This one makes my blood boil, man, because, you know, I know Alt-Shift-X. We hang out. We have never made out or anything like that. He always rebuffs my advances, but Alt-Shift-X, he's godfather to my children, man. So you just got to give him more respect than this. And so I'm just gonna put it. I'm making it big. It's a big boy, and it's going all the way down here. Thanks for joining the stream, mate. Now that Alt-Shift-ZZZ guy, there's definitely something going on there. Now, my favorite is Alt-Shit-X. This is a fun fandom, don't you know? Alright, that's the last one we're talking about today. That went better. I kind of prefer the more limited scope to these ones. F-tier theory, that's right. Put it in the bin. Yeah, this is better because I knew what I was gonna talk about instead of just randomly grabbing shit out of the bag. Hey, Alt-Shift-X, when's the fucking Tyrion video coming out? Tell us! Tell us! We demand to know! Very excited for that thing's release. I know, short stream. It's okay. Don't worry. He better not have left. If he left, I'm gonna ruin his next picnic. I'm gonna sneak up on him and I'm gonna make both sides of his pillow warm. That ought to show him. Just trying to center that. Ah, that's the Glimbus policy of delaying videos. Every time someone asks a day later. Well, when's the Tyrion video coming out? That should give you more time to work on it, buddy. Why would you donate to ask me something like that, Simcoe? Alright, we may talk about the Dusky Woman next time. I don't know. Alright. This has been fun. I'm gonna go to bed now. Thanks for popping in, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thanks for talking. Thanks for listening to me ramble. I feel like I'm getting a little better at the rambling. Yep. I'm just gonna put this screen up and I'll play myself out. I'm not actually gonna do that. That'd be cringe. Yeah, I'll just leave you in silence. Thanks, everyone.